Ladies and gentlemen, today I'm going to show you some useless Arknights facts I found over the years that aim to do nothing but waste your time. So I strongly recommend watching a more informative video instead. But if you insist, here's all the useless facts I found. When playing the game, you can see the HP and SP bar of your operators. The top bar, which is colored blue, represents HP, and the other one, which is green, for SP. But weirdly enough, when an operator received a healing or SP buff, the color is inverted. Now the SP is blue, while green for healing. So far, I don't find any concrete reasons behind these inverted colors, but some say it might have something to do with people who are colorblind. Estelle is the only operator that has her horns measured in her file. This is likely due to its unnatural size because it got mutated by her oripathy. Interestingly, Provence, whose tail got unusually bigger because of oripathy as well, didn't get measured. In a similar case, besides the clankers, Gladia and Spectre weight are listed on their file, but it's left unknown for whatever reason. And later, Spectre Alter doesn't even have it anymore. And again, Gladia, Spectre, and Scotty's race is listed unknown despite them clearly being an Aegir. I always thought this might be because they are a sea monster hybrid, but then they listed Spectre race as Aegir in her altar. And Ulpian is also listed as an Aegir from the get-go. Arknights Global and Japan Twitter account have the same profile picture of Supreme Leader Emiya, but if you take a closer look, the Japanese social account is a bit zoomed in. And I do find it somewhat useful to differentiate which server the notification came from, especially since Japan's server tend to have a bit of different content than global. Next, despite their distinct look, the game story mentioned it's difficult to tell Reed and Iblana apart from their looks and voice alone. So their distinct look and their splash art is likely artistic reasons. And interestingly, to show the players how similar they sound, the game hires the same voice actress to voice both Reed and Iblana. This is the case for all of the voice dub, except English. And it's unclear why they have different voice actor for their English voice. The two most likely reasons is maybe because Reed VA is unavailable, as I believe Reed is the VA last known voice acting work. Or maybe the devs found the current English VA for Iblana more fitting. Guess this character's name. If you answered Kristen, you're not wrong. But back before Lone Trail was released, the game actually called her Kirsten. I believe all the in-game text has been fixed with her new name. But if you listen to Dorothy and the Snake Lady's dialogue, you can hear they still call her Kirsten instead of Kristen.
I was worried about not spending enough time on the Rhodes Island landship. Maybe I should apply to Kirsten for another long-term cooperation project.
Most astrologers got started just to steal a peek at their own doom. But when Kirsten tore open the skies over Trimounts, she debunked astrology as the silly fabrication it is. And that's more interesting than the practice itself.
In the factory production menu, specifically the battle record or XP card, despite using the highest rarity XP card as a logo, you cannot make them in the factory. The best they offer is one tier lower, the yellow XP card. Rainbow Operators from Siege are the only collab faction that has its own logo, while other collab operators use the Rhodes Island logo for their faction. For a long time, the Annihilation mode loading screen was misspelled. Instead of Annihilation, it's Annihilatio. This persisted for quite a long time to the point people thought it's intentional, but now the loading screen has been changed. If you take a look at the network database and scroll down, you can see the faction Terra with its orange background resembling Reed's most dominant color. But before Iblana becomes playable, the faction was actually named Dublin, and with Iblana purple background. This change likely follows what happened in the story. The faction of Dublin is destroyed and Reed replacing her sister to lead Terra, hence the background color change. Still in the network database, there's this trust overview menu, where you can see some of the game faction and the total trust you accumulate of each operator in the faction. Gain enough total trust and you'll get unique furniture as a reward. But aside from adding a new operator to the existing faction, this feature is never updated, despite new factions appearing in the game. Warmy was released way before we got any burn damage enabler in the game, making her skill 2 unable to unleash its full potential for quite a long time. Arknights typically give their operator a skin a couple of months, or perhaps years after their release, with the exception of most collaboration characters, and April. And so far, April is the only non-collab character that gets her skin right in her debut event. Compared to any other story stages, Stoltefera Navis and Il Siracusano have a more unique stage visual. This is the typical Arknight story stage selection screen. While this is Stoltefera Navis and this Il Siracusano, we never got anything like these two story stages again, likely due to the complaint of being unnecessarily complex. Dark Knight's Memoir is the only side story event that doesn't introduce any new boss, or even has any boss enemy type at all. The questioning statue from TT's debut event, that gained a huge amount of popularity during its first appearance, has its own Pixiv tag. Take a look at this photo. Cool cosplay, right? But here's the interesting part. This is Mr. Game Producer of both Arknights and Enfield, Lowlight, cosplaying as Arknights Andriana. Speaking about Enfield, Surtur English VA was leaked because of Enfield. In the first Enfield beta test, they introduced Lavatane with her English VA, Kira Buckland. Shortly after, Arknights added Surtur English dub, and is also voiced by Miss Kira. Hot Dog is canon in Arknights, but how it got its name is very different compared to the real-life counterpart. According to Calcit, Hot Dogs got its name because it was typically sold by hot-looking Pero. And in case you forget, Pero is a race based on dogs, hence why it got called Hot Dog. Then, last useless fact in this video. Based on the info from Arknight's official art book, this is Calcit undergarment. That should be all. Adios.